Well, they have pulled the trigger, and by they I mean the National Weather Service, on a winter storm warning for all of southwest Missouri. In fact, the area you see shaded there, and I'll just kind of highlight it for you, roughly this area here, is basically the Springfield National Weather Service's area of responsibility. So all the counties in that are under a winter storm warning for the snow that will start as early as in the wee hours of Monday into Tuesday, and certainly during the day, maybe even in the morning hours on Tuesday into the afternoon and early evening. So that's a winter storm warning. And then surrounding that, we have a winter storm watch in these areas here. And what will likely happen is we'll get a winter storm warning maintaining itself. And then later on, tomorrow perhaps, they'll have a winter weather advisory on the fringes of that. So the watch is really meant to say we could adjust this into these areas surrounding that a little bit more before all is said and done. We'll do an overview of the isobar pattern and the precipitation pattern that's expected here. We'll use the GFS model just to give you a good idea of how this is all unfolding. And this is one of those storms that kind of loops around. We have Arctic high pressure in control here. We're going through the morning hours here. This is Monday morning about 6 a.m. We have this band of weaker snow that will move through northern Missouri. But this right here is where the system is developing, but it never actually forms an area of low pressure, at least not yet. It's a trough of low pressure, which will do, and it definitely is targeting southwest Missouri. We're in the bullseye of the heaviest snow potential, so I'll continue to move this forward. And right about here, we see that low kind of going down to Texas. The snow starts to break out. This is about 3 a.m. on Tuesday morning. Here's 9 a.m. or at 6. There's 9 a.m. right about there. That snow really beginning to move in the southwest Missouri by then, picking up in intensity quite a bit by noon. There does appear to be a little bit of sleet in northern Arkansas too. That might be the height of the snow activity right there. That's 3 o'clock on Tuesday. Certainly going on at 6 o'clock on Tuesday. And quite a bit of snow still at 9 o'clock and even around midnight before this finally dissipates. The last of the snow there about 3 a.m. on Wednesday. That's the GFS model. I kind of believe the timing on that. So if you're trying to plan things, there will be some light snow in the area Tuesday morning, but I think the heavy hitting snow, the snow that's going to accumulate the fastest will probably wait till late morning. And then anytime, let's say between 11 a.m. and around 9 p.m., is probably when we'll get the blitz of the snow mostly across the Ozarks. And of course, we'll take a look at some snow total models here next. Well, the tour of the models continues. This is the NAM model, and this one is a shorter range model, and it's a higher resolution model, so it's going to pick up some finer details. We're using 10-to-1 ratios, so let's look at these snow totals. We'll take it through here. We get some lighter snow in northern Missouri through tomorrow evening, and then on Tuesday we're looking at 6 a.m. Tuesday here as accumulations are getting pretty good. This is 3 p.m. on Tuesday, and then really by Tuesday evening 9 p.m. is when it really sets in. Now as far as track is concerned, I like the North American model, this model, the NAM model, the best because there's been a consistent signal to put the heaviest snow band just north of Springfield, and that's what this one does. So this stops at 9 a.m. on Wednesday, and that's a pretty good place to stop. So you can see everything here is above 8 inches where that purple shading is, and there's a couple of isolated spots. Again, the details in any specific city are probably not something you need to focus on, but the general trend for this area right here to be where the heaviest snow lays down, I think is valid. At least that's, again, looking at the models for a number of days like I have been. That's the conclusion I draw anywhere. So Springfield's at about 8 inches or so. 10-inch totals are possible north of us. Maybe even some isolated totals higher than that. Let's take a look at a few more models and see what they have to say about the situation. Here's the GFS model. This is the one we've been looking at primarily because it's a longer range model, but the grid at which this model works at is a little more sparse. Not as dense. So, it's not going to have some of the finer details. But let's see what this one has to do. Again, we're just looking at snow accumulation. And it's just using a 10-to-1 ratio. Now, this one has the track a little bit more over Springfield. And let's get that stopping at the same time. Yeah, about right there. So this one definitely has a little bit more of a southern bias with a heavier snow band laying down from Joplin to Springfield. And that is a lot higher by about 3 or 4 inches than the NAM model is. So that's something that can take into consideration. But a couple of things you should take away from these models as we look at them is all of them have pretty much kind of a west to east heavy snow track. It's just a question of, where do you put this thing, there or there? A couple of variations here or there, 50 miles north, 50 miles south, can make a big difference. But that's why we don't focus on this a whole lot. We kind of give you the storm potential. I will say one thing about this, if I haven't said it already, this definitely is eyeing the Ozarks. It doesn't like us because this is very concentrated and just in southwest Missouri and southeast Kansas. So I don't know what we did to deserve it, but here it is anyway. Well, here's another model we can look at. Again, a longer range model. This one is the European model. It's just a consortium of European countries that run a long range model, and it has a real good track record. So again, it's a coarser model though. But there's one interesting thing about this as I unfold this for you, and again, it comes back to what I just said on the other recording with the GFS. Is look at this. Still an agreement that we're taking snow bands, the heaviest, and moving west to east with them. But this one's another probably 50 miles or so, maybe a little more, south of the one I just showed you. So just to review, we had one heavy snow band here, the next model had it here, and this model has it here. So what do you do with that? Well, a lot of times we just take the consensus, and if that's the case, then Springfield's right in the heaviest snow track. But that's not always true, but it is one way to look at it. And so right in the core of that here, it's not actually, there's no city right there, but it looks like that's about 8 inches of snow, Monad area. But again, to be able to say city by city on a course model like this is really probably not something I should do, but it's just for reference. But you get the idea. And all this starts possibly as early as overnight Monday and goes through all day Tuesday into Tuesday night and kind of winds down toward Wednesday morning. Focused in on Missouri again, and it's not always about the snow too. It's about the temperatures and also about the wind and the wind chill and the ultimate low temperatures. So let me just show you what the NAM model is showing temperature-wise here as this unfolds. So as we go in through, so this is Monday. Here's Tuesday, about 6 a.m. We're down around 27 degrees here in Springfield. Notice the freezing line is down there in northwest Arkansas, so that could mean some sleet down there or maybe even some freezing rain. And then we go through the day on Tuesday, that's 3 p.m., temperature's about 21 degrees. Up at Clinton, it's 12, Kansas City, 9. And then by the evening, 9 p.m., we're at 12 again, Clinton down to 10. And we're headed for a low temperature. There's 6 a.m. on Wednesday, about 4 degrees here, about 4 degrees in Kansas City as well. And then we're looking at, that's noon on Wednesday, 15 degrees. Not terribly warm, right? There's 16 kind of holding with strong winds on that day. And by 6 p.m. on Wednesday, we're down to about 12 degrees. So basically holding in the teens after dropping into the single digits. That's not the whole story. We'll show you the low temperature on Thursday morning. It's going to be negative here in Springfield and across all the Ozarks most likely. But now we're going to show you one more thing, the wind and the associated wind chill with this storm as well. Once again, the NAM model looking at wind gusts. Even, in the wake of this last cold front, it's been pretty gusty around here. So this is going through Sunday. We had 20 mile per hour wind gusts. Calms down a little bit tonight and tomorrow morning with no gusts reported tomorrow morning, but this really begins to pick up again. You see 30, 35 mile per hour wind gusts out through eastern Kansas. That's Tuesday at 6 a.m. Yes, that's coming in our direction. 30 mile per hour wind gusts by noon on Tuesday. And through the day, 30, lower 30, even mid 30 mile per hour wind gusts through the evening hours on Tuesday there. So nasty conditions along with the heavy snow. And this really doesn't let up a whole lot overnight into Wednesday. And a little bit maybe, here's Wednesday morning down in the 20s, but still that's a gusty wind to be talking about with snow flying around. By this time it'll be over. This is Wednesday morning at 9 a.m., but still pretty nasty out there with wind gusts above 20 miles an hour. And finally, we'll look at wind chill, and this is contoured here, and we can kind of see where the nastiest wind chills are going to start to occur. So we start to go through, this is Tuesday here, and we're starting to get wind chills in the single digits up to the north of Springfield, 16 on Tuesday around 6 a.m. through the day on Tuesday. We're looking at almost sub-zero wind chills in Springfield by 6 p.m., Rolla -1. And then, wind chills pretty solid between -5 and -10 through the early hours of Wednesday. So this is Tuesday at midnight, -10, pretty common wind chills. Even on Wednesday morning, let's see, we're looking at, there's Wednesday morning, so minus 13 wind chill. So pretty nasty. That with maybe 6 to 10 or more inches of snow on the ground. This is a bona fide winter storm, to be sure. And this is the National Weather Service forecast low temperatures. So we're looking at Wednesday morning here, Springfield 3, sub-zero readings just off to the northwest of us. And then on Thursday morning, a forecast of minus 6 here. And that's a pretty common reading across most of the Ozarks. Almost all the Ozarks except maybe north central Arkansas will be below freezing on Thursday morning. And just for fun, we'll go ahead to Friday morning. Still sub-zero readings to the north of Springfield, but we're pretty close at 1. My experience with snow cover like this, and especially clearing skies and a high pressure system, is that those are probably a little warm. Not a whole lot, but maybe a few degrees. We very easily could have 3 sub-zero mornings in a row before things moderate a little bit. So that's a lot of information for you all. I think you're getting a message that you may want to change a plan on Tuesday and on Wednesday. Kids are, I'm their hero right now. So anyway, I'll have another update for you tomorrow afternoon. The higher resolution model will be in by then. We'll be able to take a look at the entire storm using that model. Until then, stay safe, stock up, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.